My name is Michael Loch, spelled Michaelloch, and I'm a public affairs specialist at the Oregon Department of Environmental Quality.
Cool. And then David?
And I'm David Fair. I spelled Davidfarrer, and I am a toxicologist at the Oregon Health Authority in the Public Health Division.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Michael, we'll start with you. Just as Jonathan put it, an umbrella of this. If you can kind of just give us kind of the synopsis of what's going on, how it came on your guys' radar, and where we're going from here, just generally speaking.
So Trader Joe's is in the middle of a renovation project, and we received a complaint that just expressed concerns about the exposed floor. And we asked Trader Joe's and their contractor for an asbestos survey and what those results were. That initial survey came back negative for asbestos because the locations where they took those samples did not contain this black mastic material that we're talking about. We later on Monday got photos and videos of what that looks like in the store with this exposed floor with this black mastic material. So after we received that, then we asked Trader Joe's and its contractor to sample those locations and that material, which that came back positive for asbestos yesterday. And then yesterday, upon reviewing the data and realizing that yes, there is asbestos present in the store, we asked Trader Joe's to close the store to its workers and customers out of an abundance of caution so that we can get the store properly cleaned up. So Trader Joe's did close the store at approximately 5 p.m. yesterday. And they are right now in the process of hiring a DEQ licensed asbestos abatement contractor to properly clean up the store so that it can safely reopen.
Yeah, and kind of take us through what that decontamination process looks like.
So I'm not an expert on how that decontamination process looks. So I might need to maybe follow up with you on an email because I would have to just talk to some of our
Sure.
asbestos specialists. They're right now all focused on getting this work off the ground and completed. So I'd be happy to follow up with you on that. But yeah, just kind of in general with how that process will look like. The Trader Joe's will hire a licensed asbestos abatement contractor, so a contractor that DEQ has already vetted. They will perform that cleanup work under conditions that I'll follow up with you on with what those details look like. And after the abatement is done, DEQ is going to want to have them take like samples and air samples to verify that that cleanup and decontamination work was effective. So we're going to ask for that, and we're going to review that data before we recommend that the store reopens.
Very good. And I guess our other pressing issue, and I'm not sure if this is DEQ or OHA, is that this was under the floorboards. Like you said, that initial test didn't find anything. I guess how can we be sure customers and workers weren't contaminated if it was, is this just like looming under the floorboards? Is it seeping from under, or did it actually take someone busting into that floor for it to cause an exposure? So I guess that's kind of our thing is like, was this just like latent sitting there, or how does this work?
I think David might be better for that question.
Yeah, I can generally, because it's so, Michael might explain more about this later too, but the this word mastic that he's using, right? Mastic is this glue material that is used for holding the tiles down on the floor. And as long as it isn't disturbed, like under the tiles, it's not really getting out where people can be exposed to it. So prior to the beginning of like, it's really like the tearing up the tiles that sort of liberates it to get out where it could be cause an exposure to people. So I don't think it's like if the concern is that like people were always getting exposed to asbestos from the floor like before the renovation started, I don't think that's the case. I think while the tiles were down, I don't think this was posing risk to anyone.
Okay, that's interesting. So I guess not to play too much of the what if game, but I guess, or maybe just to frame it as steps businesses can take. Because, I'm not going to say all these stores across Portland have like asbestos under the ground or whatever, but it is interesting. Like, so what are some steps businesses can take that maybe there is something latent, and is there something a way to be proactive without having to maybe do a full renovation? Because yeah, like you guys have said, it took kind of the renovation for this stuff to be disturbed, but is there a way for businesses to be proactive?
Well, for such projects, I'm only going to really talk about the compliance side of things, but when businesses are going to conduct projects similar to this, whether it's renovation, construction, demolition, we want to see an asbestos survey that's conducted ahead of time. And if asbestos is detected, then we need to get that properly abated through a licensed contractor. So that's something that businesses should have in mind in general when they're considering taking on such projects. DEQ does have a webpage that lists all of our licensed asbestos contractors in the state. So for folks that are thinking more proactively, I would suggest looking into that page and what are the requirements that they need to do to comply with, and to get that list of licensed contractors to start reaching out to them and start having those conversations about what needs to be done. And then also DEQ, our asbestos compliance team, is available to talk to businesses as well to see whether or not do you need to do such project or survey abatements, etc. We're there to help guide them through the process.
David, I know you've kind of been hammering that this is a like a low risk situation as you kind of broke down there. Are you able to maybe compare it to like what a high risk would look like? I guess just for the viewers that might be super scared that they shopped in this store, just doubling down as to why this is a low risk, and then maybe giving us an idea of what like a high risk would look like if someone could be in trouble and might need to seek some help.
Yeah, definitely. And the reason that people feel anxious when they hear the word asbestos is because we know that it poses health risks. Like it increases risks of specific kinds of cancer, and it can cause another disease called asbestosis. That's like a lung fibrosis type disease that makes it hard to breathe. But the way that we know that is from studies in workers who, like asbestos workers who were like working with high concentrations of asbestos like as part of their daily job like for many years. Like those are the people that were studied in those kinds of where we learned those kinds of things about the health risks. So that kind of an exposure where it's a very high percentage of asbestos in the material that someone's working with, and they're doing it every day for a long time, that's a high exposure scenario that we would consider high risk. And that is much different from someone who's like just walking into a store to go grocery shopping and come back out, not really working directly with asbestos. One of the things that we know about because of the testing of this mastic material is that it's only about 2 to 3% asbestos. And in order for something to even be classified technically as asbestos containing, the cutoff is 1%. So it's really just barely over the threshold to be considered asbestos containing. So it's on the low end of asbestos percentages to begin with as a source material. And then when you combine that with the fact that these exposures are so short term, so shoppers in and out in like an hour or so, and then and even the employees of the store who might be there for a whole shift, for an 8 hour shift or something, the stuff's only been open, the floor's only been kind of open for a couple of weeks. So that a couple of weeks compared to like years in the studies where we learned about the negative health effects of asbestos. So that combination of the short time period and the low percentage of asbestos in the source material are the reasons that we're feeling pretty confident that the risk is low to shoppers and employees of the store. For the employees, though, I would just point out that OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration, is doing an investigation on behalf of the for the workers, to look into their safety.
Very good. I'm glad you added that. I was kind of follow up there anyway, so thank you. I guess just the last thing for you, Michael, it's kind of a two-part question um, was the construction crew doing this asbestos test? Is that a Oregon requirement? Is that state mandated? or were they just doing it, I guess, out of the goodness of their heart or because they thought something might be suspicious? That's the first part. And then secondly, I guess just how you kind of touched on it, but how do you ensure decontamination for the store to reopen?
So yes, this type of asbestos survey is required for commercial businesses before this type of renovation or demolition work takes place. So they did that as part of a requirement, and then we also follow up asked them for an additional for additional sampling once we received more information, especially those photos about what the floor looks like. So that second follow-up testing that was done per DEQ's request, and they moved pretty quickly on getting that done. And I'm forgetting the second part of your
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
What?
Just and when can we get the green light? Go, Trader Joe's is good to reopen again. What will that take?
Okay, so the contractor, so this is we're very early in the process. And so I think we still need to get this and by we I mean Trader Joe's needs so no still need Trader Joe's still needs to get in this licensed asbestos abatement contractor. They need to get that done first, and after all of that work is complete, then DQ is going to want them to sample to do like wipe samples on surfaces that may contain asbestos materials or any other suspicious surfaces, as well as some air monitoring around the store. So those are going to be two big things that we're going to look at when we're evaluating the effectiveness of this. But then the further details about just kind of how all of this looks when the work is actually being performed, like I'm going to follow up with you on those details and anything else I might be able to add in terms of um, when the green light is given, so to speak.
Awesome. This has been super educational. I did forget one thing, I guess, in just more of a background. How does asbestos come about? Or like you said, this is a very low level of it. How does this, yeah, how does this come to be? How does this, I guess, spread?
I don't know. I'm not an expert on asbestos,
Yeah,
but I
fair
do know
enough.
that there's a lot of materials like in previous years. So I think decades ago, a lot of materials used in building materials contains asbestos. So this type of black mastic material that we're talking about here, that material that was commonly used to essentially as floor tile glue. So this black mastic material used to be a common product used for floor for gluing tiles to the floor.
No, that makes perfect sense. Well, that's all I had. Thank you, David and Michael. This is super educational and helpful. Is there anything else either of you would like to add that we didn't touch on?
think we got it.
Yeah, yeah, I think that covers it.
All right, thank you for your time. Have a good rest of your afternoon.